themes to help you understand why everything's playing out the way that it is. I was getting like it just the message was like all over the place, and I just felt like I needed to clear my cards. It was like it wasn't really making any sense. And it could be the energy of your person. A lot of times when a person is feeling like they're losing control, and that's what the energy feels like. But I said, I got to do this over again. It said, so we're going to open up a little differently, which is just looking to see what this person is thinking right now, and we'll utilize that as the underlying energy. So just like you, they're always doing some form of mission. Their energy and wisdom supports those around them. So I feel like this person's been watching you on social media, or they've trying to keep tabs on you. And what they realize is that you and them are very similar. I feel like at first they thought that you were completely opposite. Like, and that could be you're somebody that's spiritual, this person's religious, you're a free spirit, this person's conservative. Like the differences they had focused on, and now that you've been in separation from them and they've been watching you from a distance, they see that you're very interactive within the community, or that you're, always helping, always, helping to support people of whether they're in the community, whether they're family, whether they're friends, that's who you are. And right now this person is trying to figure out this connection. They've never felt anything like it before. So thing is, ESP through the heart and mind, right? We know when we've met a soulmate because of what it feels like. And this person like has never had that before. So even though there were a lot of differences, and I feel like this person talked themselves out of really being in a connection with you because of those differences, then what they've realized is that even though they've tried to walk away, they still have this connection. They can still feel you. There's still this energy that brings them back to unconditional love. And I know that sounds corny, but it's like when you really love someone, you have no control. I feel like this person normally has the upper hand in relationships. And I feel like they were not somebody that normally wants a relationship. And being that, they have this pull towards you, because of you, they're starting to see what is really important in their life. So this energy is very like twin flamey energy, right? Because what we see is that this person sees, again, that you're very similar, that you're passion driven. And here it is, they're like, you're inspiring to them. I feel like it's because you're your own person. So it says here the next solstice or equinox is going to bring an important shift within your connection. So I would feel like by the winter solstice, you should hear from this person. They should be coming back into your life. That's what it's saying. And what it says is that as twin flames, we are here to ascend and help each others do the same. So that's what I said. I said this person is like in this twin flame vibe, but this is now. I said I wanted to see where they are now. I wanted to start the reading differently because of that jumbled message before that was all over the place that really wasn't making any sense to me, that I had to like literally start over again, which I never normally do that when it's live, but when the energy is like that. So we can see why the energy would be all over the place, because this person probably has major anxiety, and they have major anxiety because, hey, they're realizing who you are now. But when you were dealing with them, when you were dealing with them, there was major trust issues. You felt very uneasy in a very short amount of time with this person. because you couldn't trust them. And you couldn't trust them because you caught them in many lies, the dishonesty. So dishonesty with talking to other people, dishonesty with just where they would go, because you felt ignored. You felt like you weren't heard or valued, and that your feelings just seemed to be ignored. And I feel like this person just always knew that there was a connection, but they didn't really feel like they were going to be affected by the connection if it fell apart. It's like, and it was almost like they were real cocky. And then what happened is you called their bluff. And then, that's when this person actually was like, wait a minute. But not until you had to do that. They took you to that place just because there was a spiritual connection, and you showed them attention, and they never experienced anything like that type of connection before. They just thought that you were gonna deal with it. And we've been getting that. I got that earlier on this channel. They'll make excuses. For some of you, they'll say, you and I were too young when you met. But I feel like this person was just immature. They couldn't let you get close to them. And that's because they didn't really know what they wanted when they met you. They wish they could share their good news with you. They can, but they're still in their ego. I knew it because I knew exactly what I was doing when I was doing it. And that's the thing. This person is like, again, I don't know whether or not you want to talk to me or see me. And this came out before. That's when I wanted to see the underlining energy. And the underlining energy is this person doesn't really know whether you want to see them or not, whether or not you'll have feelings, whether or not that twin flame energy is still on your side. They know that it's on their side now, but they didn't when it was almost like when you knew, they didn't know, and now you may not know. So this person's realizing they love you unconditionally, and you might be like, how? Well, like you said, they ruined this connection, and now it's almost like they're realizing how, twin flame connection is not just any connection. This person thought, well, I'll just meet somebody else, and because you're being too demanding or wanted too much, and where you didn't really want too much, you held to a standard, and this person wasn't ready. That's why they said you and I were too young. And that could have been just a year ago or 2 years ago, or not really even that much time. It was just that this person didn't want to. They bury themselves in work to forget you. So again, still in their ego, because it's like, I don't know, I can't really recover this. I don't. So that's what's going on. And that's why the energy was crazy, because this person wants to now this is just crazy energy, because now I want you to know I can't even see my screen. Just crazy energy. It's like, I'm telling you, I don't know whether you saw that whole screen, my whole screen went dark. Decided to just shut off. And it's like, that's what I feel like. This person just doesn't want to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it because when they think about it, they get very emotional and overstimulated and get anxiety. And so there's a sense that I know that I ruined the relationship, and I know who you are now. So let's see, what are they doing? We know what they feel now, and we know why the energy was weird before, but let's see why. What are they doing? Once again, betrayal. That's what they're like. They keep thinking about the betrayal. It's like, that's it, because you don't do that to a twin flame. This person really did not think that they were going to be that affected. They knew that there was a connection, but I don't think this person knew anything about past life. relationships or twin flame relationships or anything like that. But as I said, they never felt anything like it before. And of course, like that, purpose driven, that this person is like, oh, well, you're actually out in the community and you're doing stuff. And this person really likes that because they like to do that. And I feel like because they like the persona of that. So now they can see it almost like how you could be like maybe like a power couple. Like, you know, that's really what it is. This person, when we ask what are they doing, they're impulsive. So there's family patterns there, whatever those family patterns that their family did. Hey, Christopher. Um, but they are becoming more and more and more jealous as time goes by because hey, if you're not going to reach out to them and you're their twin flame and there's this real strong connection and they don't know what to do and they're impulsive, well, their emotions are going to dictate what they're doing. They're just suppressing their emotions right now, and that's within whatever pattern that they've chosen. So I feel like they may just come to you also impulsively, so you'll have to watch out. And also, but there's a lack, so this person, like when we say what are they doing, they would love to come towards you right now, but I feel like they don't have the funds. Again, they're becoming impatient and getting nervous. Like I said, like because a lot of time has gone by, this person's getting angry because it's like the anxiety. They're in old habits, so it's still not telling us what this person like old habits are. Victimhood. Like it's again, like I don't really want to fix it. And I feel like there's someone that takes a lot of risks. So those risks could be anything, like they could drink and drive. They could, be someone that just, they're normally not like an alcoholic or a drug addict, but that's their default mechanism. And their default mechanism is, just how they learned how to deal with the trauma, because this is making them feel inadequate because it's like, I don't know how to handle it. I don't know how to fix this. Where it's really not that difficult. They would have to be transparent. They would have to, again, surrender their ego. The issue is that they're trying not to like listen to their heart. And that's really what the issue is. So right now, what they're doing is they're fighting themselves. They're fighting themselves and they're in their old habits. So however they dealt with stress, however they dealt with an uncomfortable situation in relationships, I mean, that's what's happening. Well, we could go a little bit deeper with my cards. I just want to take these cards out. Okay. My homemade deck to see if we can see if they ever going to do anything like, or are they just going to sit there and wallow forever? This person, they have secrets. They have secrets, and those secrets could be anything, but that they're terrified to let anyone in. And that's the thing. They don't want you to find out. And I don't know why, but I just felt like the most like really like this is I realized for a selected few, but almost like this person was raped. This person like might have been like a like just not comfortable with their sexuality. So they have like a lot of avoidant issues. They're just not comfortable. So, and for some, they're talking to somebody else, I mean, secrets. This person also, I feel for some, they might not even have that much money or not have a job, but that there's like just not some stability and they don't want you to know because twin flame, it's like they know, that they should be the best version of themselves. and understand that they wouldn't let you in. They were judging you in the beginning for your differences, where now they're like, wow, I could see how we are, but that is forcing them to look at themselves and saying, I don't have all my shit together. So, which is one of the reasons why this person is holding themselves back. You know, they 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 left. For some, they left when they saw you with someone else. So if you have a friend, or not, wasn't even dating, or they found out that you were dating, or assumed that you were dating, you know, that's the thing. This person feels like they're just not good enough for you. So it's not that this person doesn't have feelings for you. It's that right now, where they are, they know that that you wouldn't take them back. That they have to have their shit together, and they can't have secrets, and would have to, be transparent, and that means that they have to do healing. And part of them doesn't want to do the healing, and they wants it to be a little bit easy. But it doesn't matter. That twin flame connection, if it's a real twin flame, it's going to get more and more and more uncomfortable, which is what I felt, which is because this person's impulsive. They've wasted a lot of time. It's bothering them. But really, what it's also doing is bringing up all this energies of feeling inadequate, feeling like the things that they need to heal. But again, the patterns of sabotaging behaviorisms are also coming out, which are the old habits. So you actually symbolize the new habit, and which this person is actually resisting because of, their feelings of inadequacy. So it's not that when I say, are they ever going to do anything? Well, right now, it's not because they're fighting it. They're fighting it, but they also feel that you're not going to stick around forever. They're getting jealous. Yeah, eventually they're going to offer something. And we got that a little bit before. Eventually. It's just this person might come in and offer like friendship, because they're like, I don't even know if you're going to take me back, but I'll settle for friendship. Though this person doesn't want the friendship, they want, they want the romance, they want the love, they don't want that, but they'll settle for the friendship, because you may say, I'm not going to be with you at all, like after like the way that you treated me, and that's this person is actually surrendering his ego by coming in and actually asking for friendship, because they would never do that ever, 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 ever. So that this really is a twin flame relationship, and it's because you guys are supposed to do something together. It's like to collaborate, to co-create. It's again to do something. So it's almost like this person is a twin flame. They're coming back and they're actually apologizing. But what you're seeing right now, they're in the process of being like, no, I'm not giving in. No, no, no. But they know that they're going to give in. It's again the destination or bust. They're going to do it, and they're going to stir up the courage to do it, because there's unconditional love. It's like it's what they had to go through. They had to do that, and so I feel like whatever happened in the past to this person in their relationships like, I don't really want that, and that again, when they first met you, they talked themselves out of wanting to be with you, focused on the differences and how it wouldn't work. But then they're watching you from afar and they're like, wow, you're not really that different after all. Yeah, you might be a little bit more not conservative or spiritual or whatever it is, but at the core, you're purpose driven. So, and I say that because this person is somebody that is very logical. They're fighting themselves. But what was good is we didn't see drugs and alcohol. We didn't see cheating. we just saw that this person really just didn't really know what they wanted, you know, and they had to almost go through this in order to like see whether they wanted you, that, you know, or like lose you to see. And they never expected to feel what they felt. They thought, well, you know, eventually, you know, the person said, I'm not going to have feelings anymore. And the thing is, it got worse and worse. It didn't get better. It got worse and worse. That's how this person was like, I got so affected and couldn't even believe it, and realized who you were. You know, again, they know if they're not going to be with you, that they would need to be with somebody to get over you. They wouldn't be able to just, like, if you say no to them, don't be surprised that they run into another relationship right away, because they won't be able to handle it. They're not going to be able to handle it. They're going to need someone, you know, and that's the thing we see, you know. So at the time, they just couldn't admit how deep their feelings were for you. And at the time, they weren't ready for real love, and that they're sorry, you know, and that's really what it is. So that's what they're going to tell you that. You can't really argue when a person says that. They know that it's a 50-50 chance whether you take them back. But we got a very similar reading earlier. Might not have been on this channel, but I think it was on this channel though, about, you know, a twin flame, and that they were sorry and so sorry and so sorry and so sorry. Now this person is getting more into, well, why are they? Well, because of your life. They see how they can help you, how they could be a part of your life. Now, that doesn't mean you can want to take them back. You have free will, and it doesn't really matter whether you're with them or not, Spirit says. Spirit says the most important thing is to see why you attracted this person into your life, and to heal the fragmented parts. Because, you know, here it is, them not giving you in the beginning was kind of like rejection. You know, soulmate would obviously trigger you. So I always like to use these new cards. Remain lighthearted. Stressful times will help keep the flow. And these are just side little notes cards right now. When you understand there is no such thing as death, you can drop all fear. Okay. And then refusing to conform dismantles the world's fear-based system. Courageously be you. So I feel like, you know, again, it talks about you not being conservative, being different, doing things different. And Spirit saying is like, you continue to do that, and try to. The thing is, if you decide to be with this twin flame, you have to be lighthearted. Have any demands, don't have anything like, don't let them trigger. They're going to trigger you, but the key is to learn how to deal with that, because if you're also creating at the same time, co-creating with this person, and they're triggering, like, there's a fine line between love and hate. Is what the warning things are, is what I'm seeing from this. I've been liking to pull to see what we should do if we decide. It's a collective reading. Some people are going to take this person back. Some people won't take this person back. I don't like to say, because like I said, half and half. There's always somebody. However, you have to see why you attracted the person into your life. And the first card that fell out is belittled. We looked to the inner child wounds. Time and attention, neglect, water, play, and misunderstood. Well, when we see like the inner child wounds, what winds up happening is you see like the same types of experiences. Like what I want to say, the karmic theme continues to play out until you actually heal the actual wound. So you brought a person to you that undermined the connection, that didn't really think that it was going to be a big deal. Then once it was gone, now they're, they're upset. But during the time, it probably brought up feelings of feeling like, again, obviously, you don't give me time and attention. So you don't build any emotional intimacy with me. You don't build the trust with me. And, you know, belittled is like almost like being bullied. So if you were brought up by a parent that just the way that they talk to you, it could have been very strict and they didn't mean to come across that way, but, they did. They came across as, a little bit demeaning, belittling, like talk down to, like, let's just say you got home from school and it was time to do your schoolwork and you had a friend over, be like to embarrass you like in front of that friend over like a test. I mean, these little things that happen in our childhood actually create these traumas, and it's not doesn't really even need to be as significant because the child self is much more sensitive. Now, what happens is that trauma creates an imprint on the subconscious mind, and that's the energy that people can actually feel when you're standing next to somebody that has a lot of trauma. You can feel their energy is heavy. So we also can see when a person is not as confident as they should be through their posture, the words that they use, how much attention, how much energy you give to a person that, hasn't really earned it. See, that might sound rude, but it's really not, because you have to teach a person how you want to be treated. So if you meet a person and you didn't get the time and attention growing up, the nurturing and the love and the support, obviously, if you were bullied or talked down to or just talked nasty to, then, you'd tolerate a lot, because you're used to it. Where spirit says, that's not, you shouldn't accept someone that's not going to give you time and attention, and someone that was bullying. If your parent like had to work all the time and they were in a bad mood, that's why they were that way. It's like, but you have the power to recreate a new experience where, I feel like you overgave energy to this person who was an avoidant to begin with because of some major trauma that happened in their life. And if it wasn't sexual abuse, it was some sort of abuse. And and it doesn't mean that it was a girl. It was, 'cause I feel like it was a guy. So, belittled is that bullying, time and attention. So we understand that obviously you didn't get that nurturing psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, or any other way. So children form their unique little individual selves, their identity, when they're growing up. Like in childhood, that's when that happens. You can see what they like, what they don't like. Sometimes they change it. Well, that when you were neglected and didn't have the support and if bullied, talked down to, well, you're not really going to express yourself or feel as free to express yourself. So that affects that second chakra, which is the sacrum. So we know that the water sign, the water element is where that birthing, what the birthing element is, where it's that chakra, the second chakra, which represents one's individuality, passion, flow, go with the flow, that we can be least resistance when we're in our passion for life. You weren't in a passion for life. Understand, growing up you molded to whatever the environment was, so that that's what kids do when they're afraid of their parents. They are gonna pay attention to what the parent wants and not really paying so much attention to what they want. Because be they want their parent to love them. Every child does. They want to be pleased. They want to please that parent. So this affected how you went out and played, right? So that's how children find themselves. They go out and play. Well, spirit says, remember, you have to understand what you need to do to actually heal. And so that's why we look at this, and you heal by reparenting yourself. So you're the person that has to nurture yourself. This is the energy that we have to focus on. The second chakra is your unique individuality. You find that through playing, right? You'll have to give yourself the love, because again, feeling misunderstood is how you feel. But does that mean everybody else feels that way about you? Or is that a feeling that is put onto you because you had a parent that belittled you, and you were raised in an environment to not really be as secure with yourself? Because of that, it's not a blame game, but we have to understand where the wound came from. If especially if our parent didn't give us time and attention because they were wrapped up in their own thing, is what spirit's saying. So it doesn't have anything to do with that. You have to realize that our parents grew up at different times. We're born during, collectively, there's shit going on in the world. Imagine all the people that were born during COVID time. They were born into seeing that there wasn't a lot of groceries on the shelves, so they were taught lack. They were taught limitation, and parents, had to compensate. So those were the habits and the behaviorisms that a lot of kids are going to be growing up with because of that. So you have to embody a new consciousness altogether to heal. Otherwise, you haven't fully transmuted, alchemized that negative energy. You can't just get rid of negative energy like, oh, it's gone. You have to actually do something with it. It's creative energy. And spirit says, and there was a lot there, because that second chakra you weren't able to have your unique unfoldment process. So if that happens, you would attract people that, wouldn't know your worth, because here it is, you're going to be so nice, and you want to be like, well, I'm just going to treat people the way I want to be treated because I'm a good person. And spirit says, yeah, but to a person that, is shady, you have to treat yourself the way you want to be treated, because you have to teach that person. It's the way you have boundaries. Understand, once that person earns it, then you can treat them the way you want to be treated. Until then, they have to earn it. And that's by giving you time, energy. I don't care what it is. They don't have to take you to the Taj Mahal, but they should want to spend time. Create the intimacy. Otherwise, spirit says, then you're like giving more to someone else than yourself. And that's what you're doing. So it's time for you to, just go into uncharted waters, like evoke your curiosity to discover new aspects of your life, of life, but that's going to show you different aspects of yourself. So you get to see yourself differently. Like, I'm a good person, you get to really know who you are. It's almost like there's still some of that old narrative that is, built into your subconscious mind just because you haven't lived enough experiences yet. If a person can't grow with you, then they shouldn't go with you. Literally. Spirit says you're the alchemist of your life. That's what it is. It's like you had to alchemize this energy because, hey, that you did grow up that way. Those situations did happen. It did make you feel that way. So as long as you don't, heal, and that's by, again, going into uncharted waters, because that's how you're going to play. Remember, it's a grounding thing. you want to go out and play. You might be like, I don't know what I'm doing. You have to start with a passion. You always start where you are. And if you say, I don't have a passion, then you start with what you need to heal or to become a better person or to become a better, better in your health. It could be, oh, I need help with public speaking, or I need help, with dealing with my stress. Spirit says, I don't care what it is, but it's either a passion or, again, something that you need for yourself, because those are the only two vehicles that are going to make a way out of no way just for you. Otherwise, what are you going to do consistently? How are you going to get into your body and be present to actually have, like, do something for yourself to teach people, hey, like, I'm worthy. I invest in myself, and I connect to other people through the things that I invest in, so I'm always supported. My cup is always full. So if you're coming into my life, I'm not going to give you that much time, because my cup is so full. I'm not going to have really that much time, is what Spirit's saying. It's like you gave this person too much time. And when meanwhile you haven't created enough of yourself, what's there is those old tapes that, that they're not true. That, but it's a disconnect because, well, you haven't embodied anything. You don't know. So again, remember, the third eye opens when you're actually grounded and you're being led by your gut intuition, inner knowing, again, in the solar plexus. And you're giving and receiving of love through what it is that you're passionate about. It's like, then you can see, oh, I can see how things would work out. I could see how that would be an opportunity, and it's an actual co-creation process. So when God says, me first, I'm a jealous God, it's through you first. This way, when someone comes into your life, they have to, be respectful. They have to follow by, the boundaries that you set, because of how you're living. There wasn't any. It was like, oh, anytime this person calls, I'm happy to talk to them, like, and Spirit's like, no, you don't know who you're doing that with. And you're not teaching a person that you're valuable. It's like, and you don't know who, because you don't know who you're dealing with all the time. Spirit says there are brighter horizons, like, envision them. And you can't envision anything unless you go into the uncharted waters, where you're going to say, oh, this is really what I like. This is what I like. This is what calls to me. This is what I'm passionate about. When you are, again, in that energy of passion, unconditional love, then you're a magnet for passion because you're abundant. And that's the thing, because you're emotionally fulfilled. You're happy. And Spirit says you have to align your actions with your heart's true desires. Now, we see a person on this card, and I always say this. It's not a person that we're following. We're following our passion for our life. And then once you align your heart, yourself with your heart's true desire, then again, you meet people and the person that you're supposed to be with, because now you're on a high vibration. And if someone comes in and they don't have enough to offer, or they're, phony, you can see them. You have discernment, like, because you're not so close up to the picture. Your intuition will call. You won't see it if emotionally you're not taking care of yourself. And Spirit says you needed to do that yourself. It was like, otherwise you'll keep meeting people that won't know your worth because you don't know your worth. And you might be like, I know my worth, but Spirit says you're in physical form, which means you really know it when you embody that consciousness. And that's really what it is. It's like, there's to know it, and then there's to really know it. And we leave off with one more, and that is Choice. Choose serenity, light, and positive energy no matter what you go through. Choose happiness. Rise above fear and direct your thoughts towards God. Now, it's hard to, again, a lot of times when emotionally we're connected to someone to just choose to be happy. But one thing I can tell you, when you are emotionally fulfilled within your own life, you have people that you've connected to with the things which you do, which help you to stay happy. You can't control somebody, but you can control yourself. And by standing your ground, if a person really has feelings, they're going to come back, because the way you saw, this person did not want to come back. They did not feel, they still don't want to come back. There's still part of them that doesn't want to cave. They're going to, because you can only hold that energy back for so long. It's suppression, because God says that I'm unconditional love. You're not going to win. You're not going to win, because that's a twin flame is a divine connection. So you're trying to resist that, where you're not going to win, because you're never going to be able to replace it. You'll look for it in every single person, and that's the thing. And Spirit says it's all about you too, that this was a karmic test at this point, because this person wanted you to settle for less. If they wanted you to settle for less, where not being in a relationship without a commitment, where Spirit says, no, that's not you. Inner strength. Nothing moves you from your path to the light, because you have complete confidence in yourself. You realize your innate qualities and your abilities, and know that with God, you can do anything, and all the power that you need is within you. And that is the energy that you needed to be in when this person does come back, or anybody comes into your life, because you're like, I don't really need you. I'm not being mean, but my cup is full. So, and that's important. Otherwise, if a person's coming in with half a cup full and expecting you to fill their cup, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. You just say, no, I work too hard at filling my cup up, and I enjoy my life, and I can meet someone else. You hold to a standard, and that ensures that no matter what else you're creating in your life, aside from a relationship, but your actual career and or how you make money or whatever it is going to stay intact. That your mission stays true to you, because you're emotionally fed. Like I said, that's how you get inner strength, because people are always going to want you to settle for less because of what they've gone through, or they'll want you to, you know, compromise when it comes to you. And sometimes you just don't want to do it. And the one time that you should never want to do it is within your relationship. And so Spirit's saying, if it's a real relationship, the person will come back. And when they come back, they'll be different, because they have surrendered their ego. And they know they're not going to get away with it. Thing is, you have to hold to it, and that's scary, because it's like, oh my God, my person might not ever come back. And Spirit says you have to use your passion, your other passion, to fight for what you believe that you deserve. It's again because again in that they'll, if a person really loves, they'll cave, and it takes a lot sometimes for a person to cave if they have a lot of trauma, and that's how this reading started off, that this person had a lot of trauma. So like they could have been beaten by their parent every day. You don't know what happened, that but that made them have a closed heart, made them not want to come in and be in an equal relationship. And then here you are emotionally invested, so of course you would feel like the end of the world. And then the more that you put up with it, the less you'll get over time. And you'll say, why did that person like dump me, or that person left me? And Spirit said, because you abandoned yourself. And when you abandon yourself, you abandon me, because I'm inside of you as a gift of spirit. So you can't abandon yourself. The person is yours. They will come back. Trust me. And they'll come back a better version, but it's not an easy task. You're taming the devil. This is what God is pretty much saying. God says, your job is to make that person surrender their ego. Their ego is that devil part of self, because it wants to do what it wants to do. But what you see is it doesn't bring them happiness. It's just fear. And that's that negative consciousness. And when there's real love, you're bringing that person to God, because they're surrendering their ego, and they have to be transparent and compassionate, and they have to be courageous and move into all the higher levels of consciousness. And so, yes, you have to stand your ground with it, and it sometimes it takes a little while, but when it's true, it's true. All right, I'm going to leave that there. Thanks for spending your time with me. I'm sorry about the crazy beginning, but this person's really nervous about losing you and how to deal with this situation. That's what the energy. That's why I had to actually log off and get back on and start over again with a completely different deck and start differently, instead of looking at the traumas, because this person knows that they fucked up and they're not happy about it. Well, you only meet one twin flame in a lifetime, not even every lifetime. That's the thing. You meet a person like that once in God only knows how many years. It's not every lifetime, though. Not everyone's lucky enough to have it. That person comes into your life to be your counterpart, to help you create, to birth something. That's why this person, like, again, whatever you're doing in the environment, I do those things too. Again, they want to co-create. They want to partner up, and that's the twin flame, to birth something, because through the act of transmutation, it helps them not just create, but really see themselves differently, step into the best versions of themselves, transmute that old trauma that's stored from childhood and all the other past experiences. So it's a very significant relationship. That's why we don't get to like have that type of relationship. Not everybody does in every lifetime. The majority of times people are connected to a past life karmic mate that is toxic, that just feels like a twin flame relationship in the beginning. And so, that's why we have to be balanced, because you don't know what you're getting in the beginning. But the telltale signs of, like, whether the person is going to be an attachment style, or whether they're really coming in to be, your divine counterpart, is going to show by how much they give, how much time they give. And if you're in a desert where you haven't gotten any emotional thing, you would settle for breadcrumbs. And that's the thing. And that's what this person thought, because they were like, oh, you're so friendly and you're just treating people the way you want to be treated. And so this person was like, I'm pretty sure I can get what I want. It was not really even based 100% on you. It was based on previous people that they dated. That's why they didn't really think that they would miss you when you were gone. That's why they feel horrible, but they should. All right, now I'm really going to go. I will talk to you guys later. Thank you for joining me tonight. And if you liked the video, I see you guys liked it. That's good. Leave comments, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.